Our second scripture is from the Gospel of Mark, chapter 2, verses 13 to 22. Jesus went out again beside the sea. The whole crowd gathered around him, and he taught them. And as he was walking along, he saw Levi, son of Alphaeus, sitting at the tax booth. And he said to him, "Follow me." And he got up and followed him. And as he sat at dinner in Levi's house, many tax collectors and sinners were also sitting with Jesus and his disciples, for there were many who followed him. When the scribes of the Pharisees saw that he was eating with sinners and tax collectors, they said to his disciples, "Why does he eat with tax collectors and sinners?" When Jesus heard this, he said to them, "Those who are well have no need of a physician, but those who are sick. I have come to call not the righteous, but sinners." Now, John's disciples and the Pharisees were fasting, and people came and said to him, "Why did John's disciples and the disciples of the Pharisees fast, but your disciples do not fast?" Jesus said to them, "The wedding guests cannot fast while the bridegroom is with them, can they? As long as they have the bridegroom with them, they cannot fast. The days will come when the bridegroom is taken away from them, and then they will fast on that day. No one sews a piece of unshrunk cloth on an old cloak. Otherwise, the patch pulls away from it, the new from the old, and a worse tear is made. No one puts new wine into old wineskins, otherwise the wine will burst the skins, and the wine is lost, and so are the skins. But one puts new wine into fresh wineskins." So you're looking for Jesus? I can tell you where he is, but you'll be surprised. He's not usually in places like this one, in religious buildings. He shows up here from time to time. And when he shows up, sometimes he even preaches. But if you really, really want to find him, this isn't where you look. You need to go elsewhere. Now, I didn't expect to be a follower of Jesus. I mean, look at me. Do I look like a religious person to you? And frankly, I was surprised when you asked me if I knew where you could find him. I hadn't been to a synagogue in years. Well, probably the last time was my own bar mitzvah. Didn't interest me. The music they sang? Boring. The things they talked about had nothing to do with my life, and they expected you to get dressed up. Well, the things I wear when I'm dressed up were nothing like what they wanted me to wear. It had nothing to do with me. So I was more interested in just getting by and taking care of business. I didn't have time or energy to think about God or what God wanted me to do or even what's right and wrong. I just was working on getting by. I'd heard about him, of course. Everybody heard about Jesus. He was all of the talk. But it really wasn't like I was moving in the same circles that I expected he was in. I mean, let's just say I was working the other side of the street. I heard he was a good preacher, but so? Who cares? I haven't had enough of those people looking down their noses at me and talking in condescending ways. There was no way in the world I was going to go looking for that. And I had never heard a sermon in my life that had anything to say to me. I heard he healed lots of sick people. But I'm young and healthy. And hey, everybody goes at some point, right? I figure, die young, stay pretty. Life on the streets is hard when you get old, and you get old fast. So, die young, stay pretty. I heard that he talked about some good news, that God was doing something new. Well, I was doing fine. I didn't know what God had been doing before. Why in the world would I care if God was doing something new? And there was no way that I was going to rely on a God I couldn't see and who had never seemed particularly reliable or helpful to me in the past. I heard that this Jesus spent time with women, with children, with lepers, with sinners. You know what I think about that? What I thought about that. How stupid could that man be? How stupid. Here he was. He could have had it all. He was charismatic. He was talented. He was famous. Everybody was talking about him. He could have made a killing. Politicians would have sold their mother to have him on the stage with them. They would have. The Roman emperor, if he could have had this Jesus in his pocket, he would have been happier than a pig. Well, He could have had it all. Anyone who passes up opportunities like that had to have something wrong with him, right? At least that's what I thought. I had no interest in this Jesus at all. He was just, as far as I could tell, one more crazy who was out gathering crowds around him and just was going to make things worse for us. If Rome decided to come down on him, all of us would suffer. You know that old aphorism, when the elephants fight, it's the ants who suffer? We would have been the ants. So I wasn't looking for him. There was nothing that I'd heard that he was offering that I wanted. And then one day, there he was. There he was. I never expected to see him. He was getting ready to eat with a whole bunch of people. It was really something. And it was strange because there were sinners of all shapes and types. There were hookers and thieves and swindlers and rowdies and drunks and crazies and tax collectors with fat purses. That part interested me. There were even white supremacists and racists and misogynists. They were all there. Every single one of them. Well, the first thing, as I said, that caught my attention were those purses. And I was looking and thinking, what do I need to do to get that? And so I watched. Now, there were also a small group of his followers, some rubes from the country, some political terrorists, some fishermen, and there were a few scribes with their jaws on the ground. They couldn't believe that Jesus was with all of those other people. Frankly, neither could I. Everyone but the scribes, though, was, I don't know what the word is. It's like they were hypnotized or something. They were hanging on every word he said. One moment they were silent. The next moment they were all laughing. It was like they were keyed into him and he was leading them like an orchestra. Or maybe he was keyed into them and he was just taking them where they needed to go. It was incredible to watch. But at that point, all I could think of was, boy, what an opportunity. Their attention is so riveted over there, I could lift those purses and no one would even know I was ready. I was ready, and then I made my mistake. I began to listen. Before I knew it, there I was, hanging on his every word, drinking in his laughter, bathing in his presence. I was hooked. Then he looked at me. Now, I know it was a big crowd. There were lots of people there. But it felt like he looked at me. Like he saw me. He really saw me. And it felt like everything was right for the first time. And I didn't even know that everything was wrong. It felt like I was connected to something bigger, and it was right. And as he talked, it felt like he was talking to me. Like he was treating me as if I was important. He was centered on me. I felt like I could sit there and listen to him talk forever. There was something in the back of my mind that said, keep your hand on your wallet because somebody's not listening. But it didn't matter. Now, his words were almost what you'd expect. He talked about God's kingdom coming. He talked about hope and love and purpose and all of that stuff. But there was a difference because it felt like it was about me. And I was included in all of that. That we, all of those sinners I mentioned, were the kind of people that he came to talk to. And I felt free. Even though I never knew before that I wasn't. I felt real. I felt whole. You know, I realized afterwards I hadn't stolen one purse that day. And frankly, while he was talking, I didn't even think of it. And I haven't stolen one since. Every chance I get, I go to hear him. And every time I hear him, I feel the exact same thing all over again. And I'm different. I'm just different. I tell everyone I meet about this man who cares for someone like me, who transformed my life, who broke down all of the barriers for God, who turns the expectations upside down, who breaks out of the molds, who brings people like me into the experience of God's presence. And he isn't what people expect. He doesn't fit in with the rules of the institutions. I don't understand it. Sometimes it feels like it's all a dream, and I'm thinking I'm just going to wake up and it's just going to be like it was before. And then I see him and I hear him again, and it's not a dream. It's real. It's real. And I think a revolution's coming. Not the political kind with swords and weapons, but a deeper one than that changes everything. And all of the walls come down and all of the lines are erased. And I see after that revolution, a black man won't need to be afraid when he encounters a police officer in front of his house. That a gay person's loving relationship will be as valued as much as the straight person's. The kids won't even think about getting shot at school. The parents won't need to worry about ICE showing up at the door and tearing their family apart. And we'll come to church and we'll see all shapes and sizes and colors and backgrounds, and each person using their gifts. That the poor will have enough to eat, that everyone will have health care, that everyone will have a safe home to sleep in, that the rich will not have too much and the poor will not have too little. That the old ways of doing things will be gone, that structures and institutions that put all of their energy into taking care of themselves rather than meeting the needs of real people will just be swept away. And that people who worry more about power than God's kingdom, they'll be gone too. I'm sorry, you asked me where to find Jesus. See what I mean? I can't not tell my story. Yeah, I can tell you where to find him, but it's not going to be where you expect. He does show up here from time to time, but if you really want to see him, this is not the first place you go. If you really want to find him, he's out there. He's out on the streets. He's out on the east side. He's on Milpas Street. He's helping at Showers of Blessings. He even hangs out, I hear, sometimes at the Brass Bear down in the Funk Zone. He's out there where people are hurting. You can find him at the jail. You can find him in the prisons. You can find him in the emergency room. You can find him where people are living their everyday lives with the ups and downs. You can find him where people who have been hurting so long, they think that it's normal and they don't know there's something wrong. He's out there carrying the kingdom of God where people are. And that's where I'm going. Now, it's good to do this thing every now and again, where we come together and we worship and we sing, and actually I even like some of the songs now. I've heard a good sermon once or twice. But if we really want to see Jesus, if we really want to find him, if we really want to follow him, he's out there, sharing God's love. Want to come with?